YouTube. Have you ever had the problem that I'm currently experiencing? And it's a really interesting one because I've not ever had this before, get it, in a dog like her. Now, I've seen it in Spaniels, I've seen it in Labradors, but this is a really interesting one. Nifty thinks that hunting might some days be an option.
Yeah, and the thing is, your dog, you know, what's going on when your dog is hunting, right? When I'm
shocked.
They're on the hunt for a critter of some kind. Well, it might look a little bit like their nose goes to the ground, the lights are on, no one's home. It might look like they're scanning the environment and darting around.
That's definitely her. So the first time I saw it, I unleashed the beast. I let her go running around the yard thinking that would be nice for her. Let's let her have a nice time, thinking that would be lovely. And all of a sudden I just saw her darting, like racing, like silly speed. Meow, meow, meow. And I was like, interesting, isn't that interesting? And then I thought maybe she's after Esmeralda the cat, because we do have a cat, she's a feral cat, and as much as I wouldn't want her to be after Esmeralda the cat, I just assessed that situation and was like, I'll watch that and I'll see how this goes, as in, I couldn't see the cat, I was just seeing what she's up to. But honestly, Tom, darting, no sniffing, darting.
And the thing is, I used to have this, I remember my very first standard poodle, Illy, she was kind of quite tricky with it, quite unpredictable. She'd be totally fine, and then all of a sudden it's like she would just go still and she would kind of point like a pointer, and then you knew that lights on, no one's home. So what do you do about it? How do we approach this? How do we transform this?
Let's be honest, we could moan about it a lot. I'm like, this is a border collie, she shouldn't be hunting, she should be a border collie. Border collies do border collie stuff, they do things like stalking and chasing, but they don't do like hunting critters, do they? And so for me, whilst we could surmise and consider and like redesign everything around her, actually what can we do that really helps? Well, first off, all of Nifty's dinner is in my very handy little bag here, and all of her dinner for the day is pretty much in there. Now what I'm doing with some of it now, whilst I'm talking to you and we're a little bit preoccupied, is I'm scattering a very tiny amount of this, not a lot of this, just a tiny amount of this.
And what we're looking for is actually a level of, we bring them to environments where there might be smells, there might have been critters, there's life happening, and it might be that you do this with your dog on lead, and actually we're saying, you know what, there's some value here. You know what, let's get some hours in the saddle and let's get you kind of seeing, when we come to this environment, it's about being close and staying focused.
And I think that for her, this is sort of easy, no-brainer, very simple wins. And actually, like Tom said, it just keeps that proximity there. Okay, second one, the fact that she's earning all of her food, Tom, that is a very quick go-to for us when we're seeing things like hunting, isn't it? Yeah. Like actually, let's really consider what she's earning and how she's earning. And it could be really simple things, like one of the things Nifty's been learning, I'll let her carry on with that for a second and I'll call her in a second if she's gonna look up, and if not, I'll work another way out. But she's been doing barrel wraps. So she's been doing barrel wraps, something that gets her moving.
And this is really key, is that if you can, you can create a behaviour, or there's a particular game that you love to play with your dog. It doesn't have to be as fancy as a barrel wrap. Then just, ask for those easy things in the environments where they might, for example, want to hunt, utilising things like your leash and long lines as needed, so they don't, rehearse what we don't want. And you're getting that kind of like repetition of, when you come to this environment, we do fun things together. When you come to this environment, we always do fun things together. And so when they come to this environment, they're looking for fun things to do together.
Yay, Supergirl. Now another one, I don't know if you saw it, I just did it just in between, a very, very quick one, but you have a couple of these bits of food because you're about to bounce at me, I can see you. And never call a dog Nifty. And so as she's doing that, I will feed her, or I will hold a collar, feed her, and that for her has been, I know, nice leg weaves, that for her has been a really good collar and feed, a really good grounding for actually, when she's considering hunting, making that collar very, very, very valuable to her. So collar and feeding, and sometimes letting go, collar and feeding. So making that part of it, and sometimes also making that part of the game. Ready? Super. Feeding and back to the collar again. Super. And back to the collar again. So actually, for me, the collar has become something that when I'm thinking about avoiding hunting, I know, actually that has helped a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the final tip, and this was so important with Illy, my first standard poodle, because it was so unpredictable when she was going to do this. It was really kind of whether the scent of the animal was around or not. And it's actually saying, imagine getting your recall so strong that they hear the recall and there is only one choice in their head, and that is to immediately ping back to you. So they're not weighing up their options. They're not saying, owner or finding animal. Instead, what they're doing is they're saying, oh, I hear the recall, I'm going to my owner. I am heading towards my owner. Now, how do you do that? Well, first of all, it's actually saying we've got to make it that always it's a great deal. So be thinking always giving your dog an amazing deal when they do come back when called. Second thing is, for the next 3 weeks, how about you only call them when you can guarantee you're going to get an instant and intense response. So we don't kind of bake into our recall that opportunity to question, that weighing up their options. Should I do it? Should I not do it? That kind of scanning your hands and looking at you like, what have they got in there? Is it worth my while? Instead, next 3 weeks, amazing experiences when they do it, and always asking when you absolutely know that you're going to get it. And if you don't think you're going to get it, thinking about what other strategies you've got to get your dog back with you.
Now I've got a couple more, and I know Tom did the last one, but we can't help. We always want to over-deliver. We always want to give you that little bit more. And my last two, and these are two really top tips for trying to sort of stay out of dodge really with this, because it can get you in real trouble.
Absolutely.
Is one, don't let them rehearse it. Like, really do not let them rehearse it. So actually, if you do see anything like it as an opportunity, like for her, and what I mean by this is she's now allowed no loose time in the yard. She's allowed in the garden, so the garden is very fenced, but she's not allowed loose time in the yard, because I can't predict what cat will run out on her, what badger will appear on her, what honey badger will be like, here, look at all this. So actually, at any point, I can't predict that. So I can in the garden pretty much, other than a bird sort of flying in. It's a very small garden, so I can predict that much more. So that's one thing. The second one, I don't know if you can see it here, but I really like this, and that's arousal up, arousal down as a learning strategy. So we've gone from scatter to a nice collar grab. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Super, very nice. And then we're going to go back to a little bit of scattering again. And actually, for me, having a dog like Nifty able to do arousal up, arousal down, I think will be very important. So when I'm scattering lots of little crumbly bits of food, really, so she can find those and take a little bit longer. But equally, I'm doing the arousal up by something like a wrap or a spin or a leg weave or something fast, because I think one of the things that I noticed with her is it's like she goes crazy and then it's like nothing is, you can't rein her in. So even if you do have that brilliant recall word, it's like the red mist has come down. And so she's never rejected me yet. However, I know that when I was away for the weekend, my mum said, Lauren, she wouldn't come back. And I was shocked. I was like, she wouldn't do what?
If they're questioning it and they're weighing up their options, ideally we don't want any questions. And some of you might be looking at this and saying, well, I couldn't bring my dog to the environment where they hunt because they wouldn't do this. They wouldn't look like this. Well, actually, what do they look like on the doorstep? Yeah, what do they look like in your front garden? What do they look like on the street outside your house? Let's get them, looking like this picture there before we up the ante on the environments. That's the key.
So if you've enjoyed this episode, we want you to hit subscribe. It's really important that you literally get the first sort of notifications that there's something new out there. We want literally the ripple effect to go wide. Also, it would be really cool if you were to share this video. Why is it so cool to share this video, Tom?
Because often when dog owners have struggles, they don't realise that there is hope, or if they think there is hope, then they think that hope involves punishing their dog, intimidating their dog, showing their dog who is boss, and actually all of this can be inspired rather than forced. So hit subscribe, hit share, let us know what you liked about this video in the comments, and we will see you real soon.
See you soon, Game Changers!
Remember, Game Changers, whatever the dog owning struggle, there's a game for that.
If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel.
And check out our new 25-day online dog training challenge. Watch the videos, play the games, transform your dog owning struggles.
As a loyal YouTube subscriber, you can get a 70% discount through the link in the description below.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to the #1 most transformational dog training podcast on iTunes and Spotify, the Sexier Than a Squirrel podcast.
And remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more live teaching, video content and free training using the links in the description.